All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. Of course, you may hear some baby Chuffy noises in the background. Was going to get a walk, but there's actually a weather warning today. One thing about the Netherlands, it's flat as a washboard, well, 99% of it. And so if the wind is really whipping off the ocean, there's really nothing to stop it from coming through here, even though we're quite a ways inland. And so you can end up with gusts that'll topple down wind turbines. Apparently, that actually happened earlier. It was on the news. Then I saw it when I looked up the weather warnings as well. Let's make sure we're live on Rumble. It appears that we are live, good sir. Yes, indeed. Piff and puffle and all of that good poppycock. So we'll be talking about various news topics as usual. Waiting a minute while people filter in, of course. Yeah, for those lucky few of you that actually got notified, you're one of the lucky ones. Not many such cases. We'll be talking about Speaker McCarthy, of course, as the main news story. But we've got all sorts of other stuff to cover. There is a redux of the J.P. Morgan case. Actually, the U.S. Virgin Islands District Attorney, AG, getting sacked the other day. That appears to possibly be Biden adjacent. We're not sure about that. Of course, I've got a few misgivings about predicting it openly, but it's possible. And where it's possible, it should be reported on. Not going to get it from the legacy media, though. You're going to have to stick with me. You're going to have to clank more. That's your only choice. Yeah, I'm not going to be talking about the Scott Adams, Ben Garrison cartoon dust-up because it's it's nonsensical. It's not newsworthy because it has no actual merit. I know what Scott Adams is doing on that level. He's actually being intelligent, but we're not going to bother talking about that. According to him, I'm a dick. Like, I can't remember exactly what he labeled me. A total asshole or a complete dick or something like that. And then he blocked me on Twitter. Thought that was funny. Oh, also Mastodon. We will we'll be catching up on that news. Tangentially related to that, Naughty Fairy, Naughty Princess on Twitter, the likely troll account. I will be talking about that. Anyway, let's see here. Just a second while I get everything organized as people filter in. It's a high energy day, by the way. Let me see. Yeah, the Virgin Islands story is all coincidental. Jared Pierce. Yeah, exactly. Everything, again, just like with Epstein killing himself, everything has fallen into line, like a lineup of lucky stars that only happens once in 50,000 years. And it just happened to occur on our watch. So I'll be getting into that. First and foremost, though, we will talk about Kevin McCarthy. He is the loser of the day, of the year so far. Of course, we're less than a week into it, but he takes a big L. Kevin McCarthy, of course, standing for Speaker of the House, Republican. Enough people have broken ranks and voted against him simultaneously for Joe Biggs and Jim Jordan. They both got quite a few votes. And a handful of other people, they didn't back them. They backed somebody else. I think Matt Gaetz got a vote. I think there were a couple of others. And in your browser, there is a notification setting you must put on. Yes, no, people don't get notified even if they have that on. To be clear, Tony Nagy, they don't get notified no matter what they do. But McCarthy has failed. He is the first person in over 100 years, well, roughly 100 years now, to not win on the first ballot for House Speaker. As far as I know, I don't know that any individual has lost working. Am I still here? I don't fucking know. Said there was a Wi-Fi problem. I guarantee that's not the case. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you still see and hear me? You can see and hear me? Okay, that's what matters. You know, that's why you're here. that and chuffing at the lame stream. Anyway, link in the description, archived, of course. By the way, you can follow along with all of these different stories. McCarthy fails in 2 votes for House Speaker, not conceding. In fact, he's already moved his shit into the House Speaker's office, which is a breach of decorum that didn't escape notice. The first main take was Matt Gaetz. He filed off an official letter saying, hey, what gives? He hasn't actually been voted House Speaker. He has no legal right to even be in that office. So, you know, I'd like to report a squatter was his specific tweet. It's a pretty good slap down in the end. McCarthy may or may not get it. It doesn't ultimately matter. Some people are acting like it is of absolute transcendent importance that a House Speaker be minted on day one so they can form committees. But the thing is, like, if you form a J6 investigation committee of the J6 investigation committee and McCarthy is the one appointing people, it's not going to mean anything. If you want to investigate the Twitter files, which we'll be talking about separately, you've got a new drop, by the way. We'll go through those. They're fairly significant. And Kevin McCarthy is the one heading it up. What exact reason would any principled populist within the GOP have that McCarthy is not going to flub it? Like he's failed everything else. He's sort of like a microcosm of Mitch McConnell. He can't be trusted to stand for populism or America Firsterism or MAGA in general or anything like that. So why bother? And ultimately, it would be nice if he wasn't the House Speaker. He will presumptively be House Speaker, though. Now, on day two, more individuals may flee from him. They may say, well, you know, Jim Jordan does have this block of votes. He doesn't sound too bad. McCarthy has just completely screwed the pooch. He lost on the first and second ballot. This is a once-in-a-century thing. Maybe I'd be willing to entertain the idea of backing someone else. And I don't know how many only Kevin unipartyist Republicans exist in the House. A lot of them are Tea Party holdovers. In that case, a lot of them I would think would be reasonably amenable towards MAGA, in which case Kevin McCarthy might not be minted. The Democrats are taking a victory march right now, which is completely undeserved. They're acting as though the fact that they held rank for partisan reasons behind Hakeem Jeffries is somehow meaningful. Well, we knew that you would vote in a partisan manner. That's what your party is all about. That doesn't necessarily show its consolidation. It shows its ideological stagnation. The fact is that there are several dozen Republicans in the House that have not cucked, and several senators as well, and actually stand for something that more closely resembles conservatism. They don't want Kevin McCarthy being Speaker of the House and then just greenlighting what the Democrats want over and over again. So he's lost several ballots in a row. As far as I know, he may be the first and only individual to suffer that particular fate. Maybe that's a cue from the Republican Party and from the Republican lay that they just don't want McCarthy as the House Speaker. In the meantime, if it takes you a week to nominate a speaker that actually has the votes, who cares? It's a week. Now, I think that putting aside a few days or weeks of work in order to get much more done thereafter is more important than simply saying, well, we've got to go with this dude because he has the majority support within the Republicans. Why? What point does it make? Is it meaningful in any real sense? No, of course not. Scott Christie Jones, did you get any nice Christmas presents? Yes, of course. Virgil Walker, Sticks, apparently McCarthy is a member of the World Economic Forum. Your thoughts? That is the same as the Tulsi Gabbard story where someone was invited to show up to give a speech. I would point out I have not watched any speech from him at the WEF. But then again, Donald Trump showed up there, actually. I think it was 2017. And he used his bully pulpit there to basically bully the WEF members. So I don't know that that makes him a hardline globalist. I just think he's ineffective. He's too much of a partisan, in my opinion. Gerald Armstrong, yes, keep voting, House. There's less chance you can destroy the country. Yeah, I mean, if it takes 5-6 ballots, who cares? Things get bogged down in committees and proceedings all the time, sometimes for months at a time. Why are you so worried about this? I would point out to the Republicans, you cock-blocked Donald Trump for 2 fucking goddamn years, well, a little bit more than that, on getting a few billion measly dollars to secure the border, something which now is biting us in the ass. You're telling me that you can't take a couple of days off from your busy schedule of whining to do your due diligence and make sure that you've got a House Speaker capable of doing their job? Yeah, fucking get over yourselves, dude. Magi Gooter, got my CDL and drive OTR. Love going to places like Jersey and telling the people I meet how much their state sucks. They've all agreed so far. LMAO. Yeah, nobody in New Jersey likes New Jersey. They can pretend all they want. Otis Bontrager. Thanks for all you do, Sticks. I enjoy your live streams and your commentary while I'm trucking. A lot of truckers seem to watch the channel. Charles 120, does Trump have a good shot for 2024? Well, he's the presumptive GOP nominee, but then he has to get by McConnell and McCarthy and people like that. More than opposing the Democrats, you got to get past your own party. This was his problem when he was in office as well. Kyle Miller. They thought Trump was the river, but he was the dam. I expect the GOP to try and shake off the populist members over the next decade. Yeah, they're going to try to either cuck them and absorb them, compromise them in some way, or to oust them. Kevin McCarthy, by the way, why is everyone not mentioning the fact that he spent SBX bucks in order to FTX bucks in order to get rid of Cawthorn? Why is nobody mentioning this in their talking about Kevin McCarthy? Jay Reed, do you think that things are going to get worse because of the Fauci ouchie? NFL players are collapsing live on TV. Hundreds of thousands of military hurt. Possibly. Honk, honk. Can't say too much more in a YouTube stream. Mr. Wonderful, what is your opinion on Trump's feelings on all this? Is he sitting back laughing? Yeah, he's above the fray. I mean, if McCarthy doesn't make it, they can't blame him because he endorsed McCarthy. But meanwhile, I think that he privately, he wishes that it'd be Joe Biggs or someone like that. Sparky, will be interesting to see if Uniparty Dems help out McCarthy by voting for him. That would be very, very interesting, although Hakeem Jeffries has actually signaled that he does not wish that to happen. That would look bad for the Democrats. It would make them look like they broke rank. Silky Johnson. Sticks, I stumbled on an interesting rabbit hole. The cult of Amun-Ra. Seems Moses may have been a member. Do you know anything about it? I think that he was definitely aware of Egyptian occultism. It makes sense. It'd be strange if he wasn't. Assuming that this possibly mythical figure existed at all, just to be clear. Breaking. Attorney General terminated just days after filing a lawsuit against J.P. Morgan Chase for aiding Epstein. This is a continuation of the story we talked about yesterday, and I did a one-off a couple days before that. I seem to be the only person talking about this story, which is extremely regrettable because it's a huge scandal. Attorney General Denise George, she was serving in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The territorial governor, of course, has let her go, has sacked her. And that's because she filed a case against J.P. Morgan. Now, the case alleges that there were transfers involved with potentially human trafficking, which is against the law, as well as other transfers that should have been red flagged anyways, with regards to J.P. Morgan and to Jeffrey Epstein's bank accounts. And now she's been fired. It doesn't help that Joe Biden happened to be visiting at exactly the same time. Now, Joe Biden is capable of making a phone call. You know, demented as though he may be, he probably can dial a number. I'm sure that they have the various territorial governors on quick dial. He is capable of talking with someone without going in person to meet them. So while we don't have any direct evidence that Joe Biden was directly involved with quashing this case by firing the Virgin Islands AG, it does look strange now, doesn't it? That's one hell of a coincidence. Just like it's a total coincidence that the territorial governor doesn't want to elaborate on further that the U.S. Virgin Islands Attorney General was canned right after filing this lawsuit. The insinuation, of course, as well, it's gone a bridge too far here. It's an overbearing legal case. You're going too far. This is QAnon tinfoil hatland or something like that. So you're not allowed to investigate it whatsoever. But the bank transactions appear to be in question. And the reason why I pointed this out yesterday, the reason why they don't want to pursue this is because if you start a litigation against J.P. Morgan, not Epstein, but J.P. Morgan for its handling of his accounts, you could end up discovering the names of people that sent money to or from Epstein that would have been flagged and been considered of impropriety of some sort or another. Human trafficking, bank fraud, tax evasion, etc. You know, this should have been a taxable transaction, but it wasn't listed as such. And so, you know, now we have to look into it. The problem is that they've already sealed the names of all of the clientele that were diddling kids and, raping human trafficking victims on Little St. James. Again, it's part of the U.S. Virgin Islands as a territory. If you then have a separate case that's just looking at bank accounts, it's only in the tangential sense about trafficking, and that's only part of it. You end up discovering the names of those people who are being deliberately shielded by the Uniparty, by the powers that be, by the WASPs, which go free. Remember, the law is like a spider's web. Fly is caught, WASP goes free. You end up endangering those individuals. One of the reasons I think this is happening isn't even about anything under the radar. It isn't even about anything sleazy. It's about pragmatism. I hate to tell you this, but if you were to jail all of those people that went to the island, it seems to be a very large number of people. You're talking heads of state, major lawyers, banking heads, CEOs, etc., major business magnates, people within the military, major celebrities, singers, and sports athletes, and stuff like that. If you were to drag them all, if you were to make it known to the public the name of names, you'd probably be taking trillions of dollars out of the world economy. The problem, it would also embolden people who rightfully so point out that a lot of people at the top have psychopathic proclivities. Well, that would be a double loss now for the uniparty now, wouldn't it? And when it trickles down and that damage happens to Main Street as well, it would not go over very well. Now, of course, I think that they should investigate. They should release the name of names, take the hit, and be done with it. But I'm sure that that is on their actual mind. And in some cases, these people are covering their own asses because they're like, well, shit, 3 of my business associates went to Epstein Island. That's not going to look good for my investing firm when people find out the company that I keep now isn't. I have a feeling that that is definitely part of it. It is mysterious that Joe Biden happened to be vacationing in this exact area at exactly the same time that the AG was fired, coincidentally 2 days after filing this case pertinent to Epstein. It's all a coincidence. Don't look too much into it. Otherwise, we will call you a tinfoil hatter. You'll look like one of those people who thought the Gulf of Tonkin didn't quite sound right. And nobody wants to be one of the Gulf of Tonkiners now, do they? Let's look through some of these. The Ahagao faces 100 bazillion mail-in ballots dropped in Maricopa for McCarthy, but results aren't sure until 2 weeks. Yeah, this only involves House members, though. There's no way that they can possibly honk their way to get McCarthy in the leadership slot. At this point, the only thing that he might be able to do to salvage himself is agree to all of the concessions that the MAGA Republicans are throwing at him. Keep in mind that only about 5 of them are hardliners. The rest are voting against him anyway. That's putting more pressure on him. Draven Oak lost. I saw Trump telling GOP to vote for McCarthy. Yeah, he's saving his ass, to be clear. But I think that he is aware privately that McCarthy would not have the votes on the first or second ballot, thus defanging him. Sack the Celtics guy. I got blocked by Anna Kasparian on New Year's Day. Congratulations. Iggy the Incubus, I'm late, but I wanted to give you a fact check if you didn't get it already. In your vid, you said McCarthy was cucked twice. It was 3 times. Yes, I saw that. Gerald Armstrong, no idea why the Dems are gloating. They'd be better off with McCarthy. If MAGA wins, they're fucked. Yeah, exactly. The investigations will actually do their job. So they should, Hakeem Jeffrey should back off and say, okay, we Dems are going to vote for McCarthy too. We're going to be the ones, we'll take the win because our Democratic Party lay people will, for some, astronomically crazy reason, think that this is creating a unity candidate for the House speakership, even though he's been labeled an insurrection denier and fomenter, just to be clear. And then McCarthy, he gets the position, then retaliates potentially. Sparky, could Emperor of Clankdom be on the Epstein list? No, I wouldn't have the money to visit Epstein Island, even if I had such proclivities. Which reminds me, we will be talking about Mastodon here in a second. Mastodon, a social media platform dominated by pedophiles and child porn. Why am I not fucking surprised? Just to be clear, I have been told by multiple individuals that I should get on the Fediverse. That's the future of the internet. The basic gist, I've never used Mastodon or anything else Fediverse related because it sounded like the average person's not going to get in on it because the searchability is deliberately limited. So you're basically creating an artificial echo chamber that overlaps with other echo chambers. That doesn't sound fun to me. It doesn't sound entertaining like, a dumpster fire like Twitter or something like that. It's just not my forte. For years, I've been encouraged and even fucking cajoled by certain individuals. Get on Fediverse. Styx refuses to promote the Fediverse. He's a shill. Oh boy, did I make the right decision, considering this SecJuice article here. Yeah. Following an investigation, it has become clear that Mastodon is a social media platform dominated by child predators. Why am I not goddamn surprised? No. Really? When you make an unsearchable group on the internet in which anyone can set up an instance and post whatever they want and shield themselves from repercussions, there might be some glowing going on. some honeypotting going on, some wackadoodles on there. If I want to see wackadoodles, I'll go to the bizarre side of Twitter, where at least there's some semblance of TOS to prevent this sort of shit from existing. I think my decision to ignore Mastodon aged very well. And now the leftoids are culpable in promoting a site that has various instances that involve child sex trafficking and things like that. So yeah, to the morons out there who kept saying, "Good on Fediverse, make an instance, you can control your own data." The fuck am I gonna do? Encourage a bunch of clankers to get on there so that they can get, banned or something like that? That sounds like fun. Yeah, let me fuck my own audience in the ass. I was wary of it to begin with. I'm even more wary of it now, and I'm not even going to bother to investigate. Like, I'm going to get a Mastodon instance and go looking for trouble so that I can corroborate my views. I'm just going to take their fucking word for it because I'm not going to get on Mastodon anyway because, again, it doesn't sound fun. It's not the same as like the interconnected internet of everything where you can interact with a wide plethora of people and troll them, of course. That's what I want. I want the dumpster fire. I don't want an echo chamber or some shit like that. So I don't use Discord. I don't have a Discord server. I could set something up for just the clankers, but what would be the fun in it? Oh, so I can go into my hug box like a goddamn far leftoid? Yeah, so that I can be censored probably anyway at some point. Let me cater to the 50 people who would actually be willing to get a site going on Mastodon or something. And by the way, it's been overrun by leftards. Any political content there is going to be poisonous at this point. So what's the fucking point? Ironcaster, where would you recommend starting into the occult? Well, I've got a whole series on occult topics, so you can, you can check that out. Lapse of apathy. Yeah, I'm bleeping better than you. Anna Kasparian. Yeah, she seems to, she has that basic personality disorder. Yeah, Mastodon. You remember Tribble too? They were trying to promote that. The what was it? The Occupy Dems, I think. They built a site and then they were shilling it on Twitter to try to get people to jump over. There's probably like 50 people that are active there at this point. They all came back on Twitter as predictable. Mastodon apparently has issues well beyond just being a grift site. But I've been hearing about it for years, and I looked at the basic site design, the basic premise, and I said it doesn't sound interesting. I don't care what's there. I don't want to have to dig through 10,000 piles of bullshit to find one song posted or one blog post that's interesting. I'm busy doing other things. I don't have the time. And that appears to be basically their premise. And then people are hiding out on Mastodon, unsearchable, and then cycling illicit materials. Yeah. Hey, Mersh, it would have been a great idea back in the day if I'd taken your advice and gotten a Fediverse instant. Yeah, that would have been a bit of a wonderful idea. It would have been perfect. Transylvania 90 just got here. Did you see that Biden purely coincidentally visited the U.S. Virgin Islands right before this J.P. Morgan scandal and sacking of their AG? Yes, we talked about that. I am not particularly surprised. It was actually news to me that that's where Biden went on his vacation. And I don't think it's directly connected because he can always pick up the fucking phone in the Oval Office and call the territorial governor of the Virgin Islands. But it's a coincidence upon several other coincidences. It reminds me of Epstein's suicide, honk honk. Yeah, so I guess if you're completely insane, you're getting on Mastodon right now. Hopefully they're honeypotting the pervs, though. Hopefully some of the Fediverse instants are actually feds. Like the one good thing that they actually do is like honeypot that sort of shit, as opposed to trying to troll Twitter and get people removed for posting Pepe memes. Next news story, we have another Twitter Files thread. Matt Taibbi doing this one. How Twitter let the Intel community in. You can go through this yourself. The link is in the description, and you probably should read through it. There are a few gems in here. Mainly that Twitter, this is the long story short version. Twitter initially did not take seriously the bullshit about Russian interference and said, look, we've investigated using our algorithms and stuff and gone through by hand, and we can't find much. Yeah, we banned a couple of accounts. That's basically the sum and substance of Russian election interference on our platform. Meanwhile, Facebook was banning tens of thousands of people and pages. What happened, it appears, this is the basic gist of this, is that Twitter was then rebuffed by the FBI, by Clinton's people, by the Biden White House, and by others, saying, no, you need to do more. Clearly, there's something wrong with you. because your competitor over here is banning a shit ton of people. That's because they modified their TOS and they were very, very loose with regards to their rules. The FBI said to Zuckerberg, hey, this person we think is a Russian, ban instantly. On Twitter, they required some degree of evidence that that was actually the case. They wanted to look into it. They were then coerced, again, using taxpayer money by U.S. intel agencies to expand their operations and literally change the methodology by which they determined whether a person was a Russian disinfo agent. Then all of a sudden they found a few more. I think it was like, 37 people or something. First round was 15 high-risk accounts, 3 of which have connections to Russia, although 2 are RT. No, Russia Today has contacts in Russia. I'm so surprised. Finished with investigation. This is 2017. 2,500 full manual account reviews. We think this is exhaustive. This is what they were telling Intel. 32 suspicious accounts, only 17 connected with Russia, and only 2 have a significant spend, one of which is Russia Today. So I think we know why the EU decided to force Twitter to block RT posts in the EU, because they wanted them to ban more people, and they were initially hesitant to do so. Then they appear to change their methodology several years later, and then they start mass banning people. So here you have it. A site was not only paid to ban people, it was effectively paid and coerced into changing its own internal system for searching for offensive content because they were threatened by the U.S. government. And it's a U.S. business hosting a large chunk of U.S. citizen users. E100 Omega 123, Crenshaw's a massive disappointment. If we can't primary him out, I'm supporting whatever Dem is running against him. Yeah, fuck Crenshaw. He's worse than John McCain. Nick Severance. Lot lizards for life. Woo woo. DeSantis is Bush. Yeah, DeSantis apparently thinks Bush 41 is someone to look up to. That's slightly concerning to me as a millennial. James Flowers. Honest dumb question. Palate cleanser. Avatar Ong versus Captain Planet. I liked Captain Planet back in the day. I watched those cartoons as a kid. I even had a little Captain Planet ring. You know, the little plastic rings you could get if you sent in the box tops from eating like Kellogg's cereal. I had that. I lost it on the playground, actually, and was sad over it for a while. I could get another one on eBay, but I don't think it'd fit my fingers at this point. Very sad. They need to make adult Captain Planet rings so that I can play make-believe again. BW, why do Dems get a vote? What do you think about Tate arrest? Also, do you think we'll be able to win in 24 if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the state in Moore v. Harper? The Senate is up in 24 too, right? There are a largely disproportionate number of Dems up in the Senate in 24 to the point where it's basically apocalypse for them if they don't do very well. But then the Uniparty will close ranks. They will attempt to get most of those individuals reelected. The Dems get to vote on the Speaker of the House because it's the Speaker of the House, not the Speaker of the Republicans in the House. So they've all voted for their own person who can't win because the Democrats don't have the votes. The Republicans are left hashing out who will actually get it. And I have very little opinion on the Tate arrest because every other thing that we hear about it seems to be disinfo of one sort or another. So I don't know. I'm going to leave that particular story mostly alone. Sparky. Joe probably called the Virgin Islands, but they wouldn't play ball, so he had to show up in person with his thugs. It's also possible. Maxwell Washul. Anyone else remember Mr. Medicare for his expose of bathtub boy Jonathan Ross? Talk about a dossier of depravity. Really praying for a recovery. Yeah, I remember the Ballad of Mundane Matt thing that he put out there. Where was the thing with Sarkeesian or one of those other interchangeable gamer chicks, supposedly gamer journos, and she like breaking down in tears over the fact that someone sent her a video rambling incoherently and kicking his car wheels or something. Phil H. How will World War III play out and how close are we? Assuming that it happens, it'll be very short, very brutal, and then people will spend 1,000 years picking up the pieces. Viper 1074 sent $5. No comment, thank you. Mega Sea Monkey. I love the meme of the dog sperm saying, I can't wait to grow up and bite a child, to which another sperm says, dude, we are in a white woman. I've seen that one posted many times, especially on big black cock threads on 4chan. Make punk rock great again. Hey, Sticks, Happy New Year. Just had a video removed and it only had 2 views, one of which was my own. That means the first person to watch my video other than me works for YouTube. Klein Khan. Possibly, or possibly it was algorithmic. A lot of it's automated. You should appeal. The Grizzly. Do you think the McCarthy vote situation is a good sign for MAGA? Yes. Do you think it speaks of good things in 24? Yeah, hopefully. I think it gives me a little hope that we have some teeth in Congress. Yes, they have at least one testicle that's functioning. Trump is the one that gave it to them. There are some of them that are still fondling that ball and, try to give him a reach around. Beer and Gear over on Rumble. Good morning, Mr. Sticks. Well, I'm sure you've covered it already. Would there have been any major differences between McCarthy and Jeffries if or when McCarthy gets the gavel? McCarthy can be constrained. In fact, they've already partially gotten him to agree to concessions. He simply needs to agree to a couple more, and he'll have the spot. It's just that he won't be able to run roughshod over populism, which is what he's seeking to avoid. He would love it if the Democrats would come in and make him a unity candidate. Ozzy's Robots, Intel money was likely deposited at JP Morgan for Epstein. Yeah, lots and lots of money. Billions and billions of dollars. Nothing to see here, everyone. Next news story. Biden's border crisis. Our immigration courts have a 2,023,441 case backlog, and it's more than we can handle. Almost 800,000 people are waiting on asylum hearings, which typically take 1,572 days or 4.3 years. Yeah, there's no crisis at the southern border, which is why Karine Jean-Pierre the other day said that it was effectively disinformation and you were empowering human traffickers if you talked about the southern border being in crisis. I shit you not. Look it up for your fucking self. It's so far beyond the pale at this point that when I throw some of these things out there, I'm assuming that people will think that I took it from a parody page like the Babylon Bee or the Onion or something like that. No, it's real. I watched it for myself. We have an administration, so-called a stewardship, within the United States that has literally abandoned our border in the most complete sense. There's no attempt to fortify it. There's no attempt to process things there. There's no attempt to go after blatantly illegal sanctuary states and cities that are literally ignoring established federal law from, in many cases, 3 or 4 decades ago. There's no attempt to cooperate with ICE. There's no attempt to back ICE. You remember when those Haitians walked across the rivulet there and horsemen were on the bank drawn up trying to keep them out of the country. And they still haven't apologized for this. Biden and Kamala and all of these others said, well, they were whipping the migrants. How terrible. It's basically like shadows of the Ku Klux Klan. You might as well have a white hood on while you're doing this. Of course, that was never the case. It was never true. There was never an apology. There was a comprehensive investigation that went well beyond ICE simply investigating itself that corroborated the version of events given by the officers there. No apology. No mention of it either. You haven't heard about that story now in a very, very long time, not without a bad reason. And the fact is that 2.2 million encounters in a single year is unacceptable. No other country in the entire goddamn world would deal with this. If this happened, if something similar, let's scale it for the per capita, like for Germany or something. So for them, it'd be like 800,000 or something. If something like that happened, even in the most left-wing cucked Euro nation, everyone would be up in arms. The government would be forced to dissolve at that point. Nobody would tolerate it. Fucking communists probably would have a problem with it. Oh shit, how are we going to give welfare to the workers if we have all these other people that are clogging up the bread lines? Even the goddamn far left would cry foul. In the United States, you have a mainline neoliberal administration unwilling to even talk about it. Biden has openly stated that he has bigger fish to fry, bigger titties to lick than to go to the border. Kamala went there once a couple of years ago for a photo op very briefly and then left immediately. She's never visited any secure facility there. The so-called journalists of the legacy media that were all over it in 2018, 2019, talking about kids in cages and how terrible it was with AOC doing her staged photo op, looking out over a goddamn, a parking lot at the time. You haven't seen anything like that. All of a sudden, members of Congress don't want to visit the facilities. And nobody wants to visit the southern border. Hell, it's so overrun. Why the fuck would you want to? Even if you wanted to visit it to gain clout and you're like a right winger and you're like, well, here's footage of why we need to close the border. You're probably afraid you'll get physically attacked because there's no one to defend you that's down there. Freighter RC, love to chat herbs, druids, and grimoires with you on my Hermetic podcast. Open invite, dear fellow Aquarian. All the best from Vancouver, BC. God save us from Trudeau. Yeah, I mean, if there were a just God, then Trudeau wouldn't be the Prime Minister of Canada, though. Another reason to be apatheistic. Viper 1074, Sticks, did you see Ottawa County, Michigan, newly elected county board fired lots of people, including the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Director and legal counselor. John Gibb is now the head. Sounds like an improvement. Raymond Holguin, Diaper Fund, you keep me well informed, Sticks. Thank you very much. Always use more diapers. Trust me. I have a kid, and see how long that formerly formidable-looking pack of Pampers actually lasts. Well, this just has 500 diapers in it. I'm set for the winter. No, you're not. Not even close. Michael Cricklow, what recipes are you researching at the moment? I want to make stir fry, actually, tonight, because stir fry is incredible. And by the way, I do a proper stir fry, just saying. I do it very well. I wanted to make tacos at some point and, everything. I want to cook everything. I especially like soup. Yes, my camera does appear to be blurry. Okay, now it seems to be fixed. All I had to do was move a little bit. Jimmy Stick, BLM disappeared too. Yeah, I know. No more race riots at the moment. Garrick Mobius on Rumble. Sticks, I've learned and installed Linux on this laptop. Marvel and Clank on my prowess. Yeah, I'll probably have to do that at some point too. It's going to be very sad. It's the end of an era. Sparky, Democrat Jim Clyburn offered to help McCarthy with votes if needed a few weeks ago. Arrogant McCarthy turned him down. Maybe the offer is still good. Politics make strange bedfellows. We'll have to wait and see. Next news story. This is a bit of a cope. Elon Musk has become the first person ever to lose $200 billion in wealth. Bloomberg reported last week. There are two caveats that they fail to mention here. Number one is that Elon Musk is also the first person to obtain his particular level of wealth, even if we take this seriously. And of course, is fuzzy math involved. We'll put it that way. That's number one. And number two, I noticed that they're not talking about the losses in the rest of the tech sector. You see, the problem is that we've had the worst fiscal year for stocks since 2008, right at the height of the Great Recession, crushing the markets. So it's not strange that Elon Musk would lose money. I thought about this a long time ago, like when Twitter shares were dwindling, when Tesla was going down. Find me a stock that's in the same realm that's not doing the same thing. Automotive, housing costs are that bubble's beginning to deflate. Hopefully it doesn't blow up completely. Although then people that have done well over the last few years inexplicably, I guess they can finally get a house. It's not massively overpriced. BlackRock, 1.7 trillion. Exactly. Elon Musk is not the only person who's losing money, but they're acting as though there's something specific and unique about Elon Musk that makes him culpable for the loss in Tesla and or in Twitter. Well, Google fell short. Facebook is basically, does it even exist anymore? Maybe tomorrow, may never know. Amazon has cut jobs. Amazon typically has done better. They had a huge boost, of course, over the last few years due to lockdownerism. They're cutting some jobs too. I just hope it doesn't impact their KDP system. I can't imagine that it will. I have a feeling it's more in the Whole Foods department than anything else. All of the tech firms are losing money. By the way, this actually is a golden opportunity for new tech because they're their competitors. And before, these big tech firms, of course, could effectively monopolize or duopolize them out. Well, they might not have the ability to do that anymore. You might see some new major players rise up. Rumble could become a Fortune 500 company. BitChute could all of a sudden become one of the top 3 video hosting sites. Something like that could easily happen in the climate that we're going into. Ozzy's Robots, did you see they want to re-educate Jordan Peterson? Yeah, I did actually see that, which is hilarious. Evangelist Dr. Robert L. McKim Sr. Hello, this is Dr. Robert L. McKim from Carrollton. Hello, doctor. Wow, have some more shekels. Also, soup is the best food. Yeah, making soup is fun. It's also pretty easy. It almost always is going to start with sauteing onions and or potentially other vegetables, and then you go from there. Darun Albain, Fediverse is just a recreated modern version of IRC. Dalnet channel list was about 10% CP. Still best music downloads ever. Yeah, I never used the IRC channel system. The only thing I used there was ICQ, which was the web-based version, adapted from it. And I spent, several years trolling them into non-existence. That was fun. Yeah, if they had something chat related, like text only that was like that, where there's, obviously no explicit, illicit things there. Yeah, I'd use that. I'd love to go and troll chat rooms some more. That was fun. E100 Omega 123, thoughts on Avatar 2? Nah, never going to watch it. It's a waste of time. Steven Nizek, do you play Fallout 4 on console or PC? If the latter, do you use the Steam controller? On PC, and no. Daniel Hall, clank, clankety, clank, 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 clank. Well, clank to you too. Miss Grimstock, Happy New Year, Sticks. The whole family watches you. 2 boomers and a 20-something. Lol. Good taste. Excellent family. Huge. Cousin Vinny sent $1 without any comment. It's mafia money. You can't comment on it. Thank you. Defying the meta. Tesla is being shorted. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on too. Evangelist Dr. Robert L. McKim Sr. My wife drives me up the walls. Hopefully she also drives you in an automobile that goes on level surfaces too. Cousin Vinny, can I send you a DM on Twitter? Sure. Just don't offer me, $10,000 to knock someone off, Cousin Vinny. I ain't running no drugs for you. BW, are any of these people being deported? We will not be able to win if this country is Venezuela. There are deportations happening. In fact, the number has actually grown, but it's fallen way behind in correlation with the number of people coming in. So it's vastly insufficient. Next news story. And there's actually a second story. I don't have a link in the description, but I'll pair it with this. Kim Jong-un calls for exponential increase in North Korea's nuclear arsenal amid threats from the South and U.S. This is the failure of Biden diplomacy on full display. We had effectively ended this nonsense by telling the North Koreans, look, we would like a rapprochement. It's not the fucking Cold War anymore. Let's, move past the past. And it was working. For 3 glorious years, it was working under Donald Trump because he knows how to do diplomacy in East Asian countries. Biden went right back to the old way. The South Koreans, having been abandoned by the United States as the backer in their brokerage, they backed off. And so naturally, the North Koreans are following suit. Now we got to do it all over again. If we get lucky enough to get Trump or someone similar who's actually skilled in this back, we'll have to do it all over again. The Cold War atmosphere of the DMZ was thawing, and now it's gone right back to being a Frigidaire, effectively. As far as the nukes, that's not really, nobody really cares. They're already a nuclear state. The program's not going to go anywhere, even with a full rapprochement. The best you could hope for is a united Korea that happens to be nuclear capable and doesn't build any more weapons and says, look, we got this older stockpile. We got like 20, 30 warheads. We're going to keep them as a counterbalance to China, maybe. But, we're not going to build more. We're not going to do any testing or anything like that. This is the best case scenario. You need multiple good administrations in the U.S. to give the ROK the leverage to do that. Now, we've got the first, I believe, public sightings of Kim Jong-un's daughter, actually. I think she's like 10 or something like that. I don't remember her exact age. But now she's potentially going to be the next one in line. It would be really funny. Kim Jong-un, at some point dies. She takes over. You get your first female, dear leader of North Korea. And then she turns out to be a massive cutthroat that makes Kim Il-sung look actually like tame by comparison. Just fucking kills everyone. That would be funny. Well, not funny. I mean, in a grave humor sense. It'd be ironic, at least. Virgil Walker, Fallout 3 or Fallout 4? I prefer the atmosphere and storyline of 3, but every other mechanic in the game is much more advanced with 4. The Defamation League just thought of a way to troll the Canadian government. Just give the number to Canada's MAID program to people you argue with or dislike online so it draws negative attention to the program. You could. I can't officially endorse such a move, though, because, that's probably against YouTube's TOS. Roscoe P. Coltrane, you could use a giant spoon in the background. I actually saw a discarded spoon the other day when we were out on our walk. It was right next to an electric vehicle that was charging. I'm wondering, did you have to jigger something over here? Then there were a couple of sketchy dudes standing next to that vehicle later on, and they kind of looked at me sideways when I walked through. I'm like, are they going to rob the vehicle? Not my fucking problem, EV owner. Sorry. Yeah, Kazaa and LimeWire. And I remember those days. Giving your computer HIV and syphilis at the same time because you want an obscure demo from some band that you like. I was doing that shit when I was still in high school, to be clear. Nick Severance. No, actually, no. I will say no more. Then we've got the major story of the day, of course. There is a dog fucker on Twitter, supposedly. Someone who openly, fucks dogs, I guess. I'm going to go through this a little bit carefully because I'm not sure exactly what I can link out, say, etc., on a stream that's on YouTube. To be clear, I think this is troll. I'm not sure whether this is the account got hijacked by a vindictive X or by a hacker and now materials being put there, or it was hijacked by someone and is now being used for ideological purposes. But it's all sorts of messed up. This is, and I'm not going to give you the direct link. If you're really intrigued by the story, you can look it up yourself. I'm not interested in that shit. So I've got the archived link in the description now. Because it's archived, all of the 18 plus material there is blocked because it's age restricted, and of course you have to click through to see it. That's a benefit of archives, by the way. Long story short, I saw multiple content creators weighing in on this, and I got like a dozen friggin' news tips about it. So I figured I have no choice but to talk about this. And no, I'm not going to go explore their Telegram channel. Telegram doesn't like me anyway. They wouldn't respond to me when I said, hey, I don't have an account there. There's several people impersonating me. No response. Couldn't figure out even how to sign up for it. It's an arcane site. It's sort of like Discord. You're leaving me behind by becoming more and more stupid in your site design, making it much and much less user-friendly. This individual claims to be a young woman who is trans canine, in other words, severely mentally ill, and then fucks animals. And there's pictures of dogs on there and stuff. Again, if you're looking at the archived link, it is work safe, so don't worry about that. The main link not, to be clear. And I think, again, I think that it's troll. I think that what this is that someone hacked an account or took over vindictively someone else's account to defame them or something like that. And as for the video that I keep getting referred to, I don't want to see it. I'm not going to bother going and corroborating over on Telegram that someone is or is not banging animals. Can I ask something? How do you know that the person depicted in these pictures and video is actually the person posting on the account currently and that it's not a hoard of material from some time in the past? I don't know. I don't know that that's actually the case. It could be a potential problem. Also, I'm not sure that it's legal what this individual is claiming to be doing, depending on their state of residence. In California, where Twitter's based, I guess they have no problem with it because the account's still up. The one reason, and I pointed this out this morning on my New Tech exclusive, you see there are topics that you should definitely follow me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey for, just to be clear. Here's what I would say. I looked up the archive, and both on archive.org and archive.today, I couldn't find any archive from before the last few days, despite the fact that the account's more than a year old. That sends up a red flag to me that if an account that's been posting, presumably similar bizarre things hadn't been archived before, that's a little bit of a red flag. That's strange. So that lends, in my mind, credence to the fact that this was private material. This is not the person running these accounts, and that they're being exposed by someone who doesn't like them anymore as having done weird shit. Which is funny. I mean, it might be illegal as well. It's amusing, but I wouldn't guess that this particular individual is the one making the posts. It doesn't matter. I'm just putting that out there as a possibility. It's also possible that it's a right-winger lampooning leftist by taking, something from somebody's fucking half-hidden Insta from 3 years ago and popping it on these channels to make the mirage as though it's qualify that. While being like trans, canine, Tumblr, gender and stuff, while that would be a left-wing position, this individual appears to be lampooning as a right-winger or something. It's just really, really weird. I don't know who's running it, if it's this female individual or who. It doesn't really matter, but I figured that I'd talk about it because I got so many fucking news tips. Just to be clear, my interest goes in different directions. If I'm going on 4chan, I'd much rather pay attention to the Andy6 log posting than anything that's similar to this. Real News Head on Rumble. Did you see the artist who claimed he drew a self-portrait of Satan in pitch dark? The final piece ended up looking like the main character in Avatar. Ah, that's interesting. I didn't see that, no. David Green sent $1.99. No comment, thank you. Nick Severance, you're the man. Stick's been watching for years. I'm 35, so we're about the same age, and it's amazing watching people back Bush and Cheney over Trump. Yeah, people who are mentally not all there. Yeah, Saileth the Shadow Band. There's a video of the dog person, Stick. She's not a troll. Well, again, it could be that someone who does bang animals had that material and sent it to another person who now has decided to make it public. because, I don't know, they wouldn't suck his dick or her dick or something. At this point, you don't even use a pronoun when you're talking about gender characteristics. You get banned for it. Mr. Got Rocks, fuck the Enclave, Minutemen for life. OMG Puppies, why Victoria Nuland is a dangerous and should not be confirmed. Ron Paul Institute. She's a neocon who fouled up North Korea and Ukraine and seems to want World War III. The Defamation League, how is it against YouTube's TOS to give the number for a government assistance program to people in need? LMAO. It depends on the context of how you give it out. That is actually, that is a thing now. Context is arbitrarily applied to these things. How many people are watching right now? We've got almost 4,000 on Rumble and on YouTube. So 8,000 people are currently watching this. Most of which do not do untoward things on Twitter with animals, thankfully. I like to think that clankers are better than that. But yeah, I mean, the archived link is work safe. It doesn't have any porn on it or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, you can check that out if you want to. It's just the other thing is reading the actual posts. They sound like they're deliberately trolly. They don't sound like the kind of post that would be made by a person who actually believes what they're posting if you read it. So yeah, the hope is that it's just some sort of a weird op of some sort and that nobody's currently, doing that sort of thing. That's the hope. Whether or not that's the case, totally different story. By the way, to Cam2425IA, Guar is a rock band. Sleazy P. Martini is their band manager. Hey, Sticks, wish I knew what a clanker was. So by Lord Gestacost. Clanker is just an audience member of my material. It's a joke because I leave my spoon in my coffee and clank it around sometime when I'm making videos or streams, and it sort of caught on. Along with other memes like 10.2, which is the bizarre final measurement given to my dick, supposedly. The cats have become a meme, that's for sure. Now look at this monkey face over here. Oh, you can't quite see it. Oh, come on, get into shot. Do me a solid. Be a brother. Ozzy's Robots. I think the Twitter files are Musk's payback for attacking him and Tesla, as well as advertisers bailing. If that didn't happen, there'd be no Twitter files. I think there would be anyway, because there's money to be made in releasing them. You get more attention. People feel more positive about the site. People specifically with large audiences who have been kicked off the site who are reluctant to come back. But then you start exposing what was done in the context of them getting banned. They say, oh, well, Elon Musk is really giving me a revelation here, and he's letting me back on. Okay, I'm a Twitter user again. When you have thousands of people with audiences in the tens or hundreds or thousands or millions range, and you let them all back on the platform more or less, you can gobble up 10 million new users in a weekend if you want to. That's why they had to redo a bunch of servers and shit like that. That's why there was downtime on Twitter. It's because of the new user base. Nobody's using Mastodon except apparently people who are into weird shit. Nobody uses Tribble, even people that are into weird shit. So it's basically Twitter. The only real full beefy alternative is Gab. That's the irony. The site that was dragged by all the leftoids, well, you're just sad because you can't say off-the-wall edgy things anymore. Wah, wah, go to your echo chamber. That echo chamber is the only one that actually took off. Their echo chambers suck dick. I find that really funny. Yeah, we've got all sorts of cool shit going on today. Don't worry, I will stream tomorrow. By the way, I'll actually update. On Friday, I'm going to try to stream, but it probably won't be at the normal time. And next Monday, of course, Liz and myself are traveling. So there will be no stream on Monday, next Monday. Instead, I'm going to take some footage of where we're traveling to. I'm not going to pre-announce it for security reasons, of course. And then I'll take some footage because it'll be interesting. I'll be in a new location I haven't been in before and be kind of exciting. Might get some new clothes. There may be a new look to Sticks as of the subsequent days' videos and or streams. It'll be fun. Stuff that I've wanted for a while and you can't get locally. Oh, cool clothes. I should go and get like clothes from India too. There's some cool styles there. I could look like a guru or something. And then the leftoids would be really pissed. They'd say I was culturally appropriating things. That'd make it even fucking funnier. I live to trigger these people. Anyway, I think that I'm going to go offline now. I thank you all. One more. Yeah, please no more super chats. The Defamation League context is definitely arbitrarily enforced. Yeah. The Defamation League, handle at Def League Music, was literally permabanned on Twitter for dead-naming Tim Pool. Elon refuses to unban after many appeals. I think you can probably ban evade that one without too much trouble. Just saying. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go offline now. I thank you to the near 8,000 people that were watching live. And of course, tomorrow around the same time, a little before or after, I will stream again with the news. Friday, it'll either be belated or it won't happen. It sort of depends because we're having people over. And then on Monday, there will be no live stream. I'm going to hope to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week. My hope is to do 5 days a week. But if there's something scheduled, something going on, I do have to prioritize home life because, you know, we've got a daughter and things to do. Because sometimes you just want to go out on the town. You want to have a toasty or something like that. It's been a while since I had bitter balling. I'll just call into work, which is all of you, and I'll do it with a Twitter post. And I'll say, look, you know, I've got a craving. I need croquette with extra spicy mustard. I can't take it anymore. I need hotting or something like that. It's going to be great. That's about all.